Hello, my name is Serena, and welcome back to the Book to Movie Club. I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I'm sure nobody noticed. But at the end of my last video, I promised a video about faux. And so let's finally get into it. Well, before we start, I took a couple of weeks off to celebrate my 31st birthday. So say happy birthday in the comments. February isn't over yet, it's still my birthday month. So I've decided this year I'm celebrating the whole month. I am 2 weeks behind on videos, and I really wanted to be consistent this year, and so you're probably going to see 3 videos this week. Hopefully you enjoy all of them, but for now, let's get into faux. I feel like I have not seen anybody talking about this book or movie. Faux, the book did come out in 2016, but Faux is a book by Ian Reid, who is a Canadian writer. He also wrote, what's the name of it? I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which was a movie on Netflix that came out a few years ago. His most recent novel is titled We Spread, which was published in 2022. All of his novels are psychological thrillers with a little bit of sci-fi, and he also has a couple of nonfiction books as well. I actually just found out that I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a book. I saw the movie when it came out on Netflix, and it is excellent. So I am going to be reading the book and rewatching the movie and doing a video about it sometime this year. I don't know when. But then I found out that this movie was coming out, and I was like, let me Google it, which is what I've been doing with every movie trailer I see recently, to see if it was based on a book, and indeed it was. So let's talk a little bit about the book. As I mentioned, Faux is a sci-fi psychological thriller that was published in 2016, and it's about 227 pages. So it's a quick read. And I want to be able to say it was a page turner, because a psychological thriller, you would think the thrill of it would keep you reading, but it wasn't that thrilling to me. Faux is about Junior and Hen. They are a married couple who are living off by themselves in a rural part of who knows where. We don't really know what country they're in, but one day a strange car pulls up to their house and tells them that Junior is being shipped off to space. Earth is apparently crumbling to pieces, and the government has decided to create space stations out there where humans can live and kind of restart life. I don't want to say restart because nothing happened. Anyway, Earth is ending, basically. And so they're trying to bring humans to space. And so Junior has been chosen through this lottery to be shipped out there. So this book is, it takes place over the course of 2 years, but it's short, so everything is a bit compact, and you see how their relationship, Junior and Hen, kind of develops or changes, or how they try to adapt and prepare to Junior being shipped to space. So that is my non-spoiler recap of Faux. I enjoyed it, but I think I gave it a 3.5. The concept is cool and interesting. The execution, not so much. I didn't think it was that thrilling. I think it was a little predictable. There was a twist on the end that got me, but it wasn't enough for it to be an amazing book. So those are my thoughts without spoilers, and now here are some spoilers. So when I first started reading this book, I was like, this feels so familiar. Like, I've heard of this concept before. Somebody deciding to go to space or choose their relationship, which isn't exactly what this book is about, but it reminded me of a trailer for a movie that I had seen before, and I Googled as hard as I could, and I realized the trailer for Space Oddity is a similar concept. This book came out first, so I'm not saying that it stole ideas from that movie. I've never seen the movie, but I was just like, this feels really familiar, and that's what it was. So Junior doesn't actually have a choice, though. He is chosen by outer space. I can't remember the name of the organization that's doing this program. But he's chosen in a lottery because they've been listening to their conversations, basically. They know that he has been interested in space somehow. And so he was put into this lottery. And yeah, they have 2 years to prepare and say goodbye to each other, Junior and Hen, the main characters, before he leaves for this is a temporary leave. He will return, but he's going to be back for a long time, leaving Hen alone in this rural area. In the book, they don't really have contact with many people. They talk about Junior going to work at a plant of some sort. I don't know what happens at his job, but he does go to work. But Hen, I believe in the book, she does not. And so she's alone by herself. So in preparation for him going to space, the organization lets him know that there will be a copy of him, not even a copy. They let him know that something will be taking his place. And so that's an adjustment that he and Hen have to kind of prepare for. But Junior is very suspicious of this man, Terrence, who is coming to deliver this information. He's like, what are you even doing? I don't want to do this. I don't want my wife with somebody else or something else. And Junior is so suspicious and so paranoid that he believes that Terrence is going to be the one taking his place. As I'm reading this, and again, this is a spoiler, I already know that Junior is not Junior. Like, I knew there was supposed to be a twist coming, and so I kind of guessed, like, okay, they've already replaced him. The person they're talking to now is the replacement, and that is exactly what happened. Junior is paranoid that Terrence is going to be the replacement because he's asking all these questions. He's like, how's your sex life? How's your relationship? What's going on? And Junior's like, are you trying to gain information so that you can get with my wife? But what Terrence is trying to do is gain information so that he can see how this clone is doing in the real world. So had I not predicted it, it would have been very interesting. The part that I didn't predict, let's get into it. So Junior approaches Terrence and is like, you're not getting with my wife. This is not happening. Like, you need to leave, because he's been living with them for a couple of weeks. And once he has this kind of blow up at Terrence, they finally take him in and let him know, like, actually, you are the replacement. And the two juniors are in the same room, and the real Junior is like, oh, this is cool. Like, I can't believe this is real. While Hen is in the back having a mental breakdown because she has fallen in love over the past 2 years with this version of Junior. So once the real Junior is brought back into their home, into Hen's life, it is a hard adjustment. We see that the copy of Junior is better able to adapt, and for some reason Hen is able to share her thoughts and needs for the relationship with him better than she was with the original Junior. And so when the original Junior returns and he's his same mean self, it's not going well. Hen is not feeling it. And so she leaves one day and she leaves this note with Junior's name on it, but the note doesn't say anything. Anyway, I'm like still processing because I just watched the movie yesterday, but I'm still processing everything. But when she returns, she is a better version of herself, for lack of a better phrase. She's like totally fine with everything that's happening. She loves Junior, and we realize that she is a clone as well. Terrence shows up from Outermore, I can't remember the name of this organization, to check on them because she has just kind of turned on. They let us know that the green light of the cars is the first thing that these clones see. So once the green lights appear, they're officially on. And so Terrence shows up with these green lights, turns her on, and she is now a clone. Junior doesn't know, but we do. So yeah, that's how the book ends. Again, the concept is interesting. The concept is very interesting. The execution, maybe not so much. Maybe if the book had been longer, it would have been more interesting, because he could have added more and it could have been more suspenseful. But with what we were given, it wasn't that great. 3.5. On Storygraph, the book has a 3.74, so I think everyone is kind of in the same range of being like, this is good, but it's not great. And that's what it is. I do want to read, as I mentioned, what's the name of it? I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That movie is way more wild than Foe, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that the book is also more suspenseful and more interesting of a read. It's been a while since I've watched the movie, and so I feel like I'll have less memory of it going into reading the book, and so hopefully it provides some of that suspense. But anyway, we'll talk about that once I've read it. Let's talk about the movie. Foe, the movie, was written and directed by Garth Davis. He also directed the movie Lion, as well as some other movies since then and before then. But this is his first writing credit. And I think he adapted the film pretty well from the source material. He added a bit to it to kind of expand their world a little bit. In the movie, Hen has a job, so we see her interacting with other people a little bit. We see what the plant, the chicken factory that Junior works at is like. And yeah, there's a little bit more happening outside of the world. Whereas in the book, this book reminded me of Leave the World Behind, because everything just kind of takes place in the house. There's not much of the outside world shown. And the movie just does a little bit more of expanding and world building than the book does. So the movie is starring Paul Mescal, Saoirse Ronan, Saoirse Ronan, as well as Erin Pierre. I've seen a video of her trying to correct Margot Robbie on how to pronounce her name, and Margot was like, I cannot hear the difference. And that's me right now.
What was the difference?
Saoirse is how Irish people say it.
And how do Americans say it?
Saoirse.
Sounds kind of the same.
Sounds the same. Okay.
So all of these actors are from the British Isles. Again, Saoirse is Irish, and Paul and Erin are British. But in the movie, they're American. Paul and Saoirse are American. Hen and Junior are American. And Terrence has an English accent. And I didn't know why that choice was made. There is a gun used in the movie, and I don't remember that coming up in the book. It doesn't. I don't think there's any guns in the book. He uses a gun to try and defend himself, Junior. And so I assume that's why they made it based in the United States, so they could have this gun in there. But it doesn't. It feels really pointless. Like, this could have been anywhere in the world. Why did they need to have American accents? Especially the film was shot in Australia. All of these actors are from the British Isles. So why did they have to be American? Their accents were great. There were some words where they slipped up a little bit, but I can't do any accents at all, so I'm not gonna... I'm also not an actor. It's not my job. Anyway, their accents were really good, but there were some times when it was just like, okay, you're not American. And so it bothered me. Why was Terrence British, but nobody else was? Anyway, people move, I get it, but I just feel like they could have all been British or Irish or whatever. It could have been anywhere. I just want to know why they chose America. The movie has the same ending as the book, and I really liked the ending, but the movie dumbs it down a little bit. There are hints that we get that let us know in the book as we read that Hen has been swapped out. Like, we know that the green light is a turn on for, or turns on these robot things that are replacing them. She demonstrates similar habits as the copy of Junior that was there before. So it's like, okay, she's obvious. They swapped her out. They did something. But they had to really paint the picture for you at the end of this movie. So spoilers. When Hen is replaced, she looks at this beetle, and it's the same thing that happens when a copy of Junior is in their house. They're looking at this beetle, and they're like, I've never seen this before. Or that's what she says in the movie. She's like, I've never seen one of those before, which we know isn't true because she had an interaction with Junior in the past around these beetles. And then they show Hen on an airplane, which I think is a beautiful thing for her character, because the movie, earlier in the movie, it talks about both of them not having been on planes before, and it would be so wild for him to travel to space because they haven't even traveled outside of where they live. And so her character growth and development is important. So seeing her on an airplane is touching, to say the least. But the suspense of the kind of like part of the psychological aspect is not knowing the whole truth. You're like, oh my God, did they do this? And when I close the book, I'm like, I can't believe they did that. And like, is it true? But by seeing us on an airplane and seeing like she's in two different places, it just felt like it was dumbed down a little bit. And so it's not giving as much as of the psychological thrill that the book did. You guys know I love San Francisco Chronicle reviews, and the San Francisco Chronicle gave it this seated at attention man. This is the scale, for all of you that don't know, of how the Chronicle rates their books. And so this is basically a 3 out of 5. I really like that they do this instead of giving it numbers, because I feel like you see this and you're like, okay, maybe I should go watch it. Whereas if you see 3 out of 5, you'd be like, I probably am not going to watch that. Anyway, just a thought. And I agree with this rating. There were parts where I picked up my phone as I was watching this at home. There were parts that were awkward. Like, they put him in a room, the clone, they put him in a room and like wrap him in plastic and cover him with this gel. And I'm just like, what are we doing? What is this? But overall, it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't that thrilling. Like, if you've seen his last movie, the author's last book adaptation, that you can't look away or you're gonna miss everything. You aren't gonna know what's happening if you stop watching. And I wanted more of that, but this story was not that. So you get what you get. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 24%, which I felt was really, really low. Metacritic gave it a 44, which I think is a little more appropriate. Usually it's the opposite. Metacritic is usually a little harsher than reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not sure how the whole calculations work. But yeah, I think Metacritic's score is a little more appropriate. I want to read a little bit of Datebook's review. So they said, it would be easy to just dismiss Foe as a downer, except that the reality of its world feels palpable, and that marriage seems real. I believed Ronan and Pascal as two people bound up in love, shared history, and torment. As much as I was glad as anybody when Foe finally ended, those two unhappy people have stayed with me. And I think that's a really good summation. It's not the best movie, but the characters they make an impact. Like, I think the way that their love story is told is interesting. And so for the characters, I think it's a good book, but the plot and the writing, maybe not so much. And same for the movie. So those are my thoughts on Foe. Let me know in the comments some of your thoughts. Again, I just watched the movie yesterday, so I'm definitely still processing. But that's where I'm at. If you enjoyed this movie, let me know in the comments. If you hated this movie, let me know in the comments. And I look forward to talking more about it there. Coming up this week, as I said, I do want to put out 2 more videos this week, so I'm not so behind. Those will be... Hold me to it also. I'm doing a video on One Day, which was a book turned into a movie and now a Netflix series. And then we have to get into the Expatriates / the Expats, a book and series on Amazon Prime. So yeah, Amazon Prime has really been putting out the content recently. Not all of it is good, which we will continue to get into. But I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.